Hi, I am so glad you're here. Put yourself a cup, get cozy. I have something to tell you, but just between us. You know how movies do divorce? A quick montage of shouting, crying, or maybe some shattered glass, and then cut to the next scene. Suddenly, she's sleeping alone on her side of the bed, or he's slumped on the couch watching TV in a living room that's already gone to seed. I expected real life to work the same way. My parents had been fighting, and then one day, the father just didn't come home. I don't remember any goodbyes or packing. He and his things just vanished. So, going into the talk with my husband, I'd scripted it in my head, a brief explosion of insults and blame, a slammed door, and then he'd swing by a few days later for an hour to grab his stuff. Our relationship was supposed to end quickly, if not painlessly, but something in that plan went sideways. Actually, who am I kidding? Everything went sideways. Phase 1, Denial. There was no screaming, no smashing furniture, and no spitting in my face for one simple reason. He didn't take me seriously. It was likely dismissed as just another empty threat, me getting carried away during our last fight. The assumption was that I'd cool off just like every other time, and I naively hoped the lack of a blow-up meant he'd finally grown up, that we might actually pull off a calm, civilized breakup. He kept acting as if that conversation never happened, sipping coffee in the kitchen while I sweated over lunch, or strolling into the bathroom while I was in the shower. He even kept tossing his dirty lunch containers into the sink for me to wash. Eventually, I had to show him my WhatsApp chat with the lawyer in real time just to prove I wasn't bluffing. Phase 2, Pleading. The questions about when he'd move out were still met with silence, but he could no longer pretend I was joking. That's when the calm talk started. You know the type. Let's just calmly talk this through. Fine, let's talk. I stayed calm indeed, methodically rejecting every alternative he offered. Changing his work schedule? No need. More family trips? No thanks. Couples therapy? We already tried that. Discussing the actual reasons for the divorce was harder. I'd lose it, screaming, crying, shaking, and turning bright red. Then I'd apologize for the outburst with the cold politeness you'd use with a complete stranger. He kept trying to poke holes in my resolve, looking for a hint of hesitation or any reaction that wasn't just cold fury. I just waited for him to finally start packing his damn things. Phase 3, Manipulation. When logic fails, you pivot to the heartstrings. Suddenly, there was this desperate push to be the perfect husband. He started taking our daughter for walks, first, while the kitchen sink stopped filling up with dirty dishes. At least his own were finally getting washed. There was even a legendary attempt at sorting the laundry. The tender texts started flooding in, claims that even if I'd given up, he never would, and that he'd fight for the marriage. I was suddenly hearing all about eternal love and a bright future just around the corner now that he'd finally seen the light. One evening, my patience snapped and I fired back a harsh, aggressive reply. It was supposed to be a calm, neutral request to stop the messages, but it didn't work out that way. Surprisingly, my bluntness shattered his Prince Charming act instantly. The heart emojis vanished, replaced by threats. All it would take was him revealing a few of my dirty secrets, he wrote, and I'd be headed straight to prison. Spoiler, I wouldn't have. I'd rather be in prison than married to you, I calmly replied, then blocked the chat. From then on, he could only reach me by phone. Phase 4, Dragging it out. Weekly reports came in from my lawyer, letters arrived from the court, and preliminary hearings passed by. Yet there was no final judgment. Meanwhile, my still husband remained in the next room, cozy as ever, belching over another can of beer. There was no rush on his part, no suitcases packed, no plans made. He just watched with a relaxed smirk as I boiled with rage. Legally, I didn't have the grounds to demand his eviction while we were still officially married. And even after the divorce, waiting for an eviction order could take another 6 months, if not longer. Was I stuck living with him until then? Just before Easter, I decided to take the risk and change the locks, giving him a month's notice. If he had made a scene, the law wouldn't have protected me and I'd have been forced to let him back in. But I was ready to change those locks every single month if that's what it took to be free of him. Phase 5. Goodbye. He bragged about finding a new place and even claimed to have moved a ton of stuff already. Yet the piles of his belongings in the closets and drawers remained as monolithic as a glacier. Every room was still cluttered with islands of his mess, his lingering presence. All I could do was count down the days until the deadline. The night before the move, he threw himself a loud, solitary party. Booze, music, and a nervous pacing from room to room. Maybe it was dancing. I lay awake until dawn, covering my daughter's ears. I was a wreck, trembling at the thought of him bursting into the bedroom and doing something horrific. By morning, the apartment looked like a beach after a storm. Trash, dirt, debris, and rags everywhere. To top it off, his unconscious body was slumped on the couch, while a broken toilet in the bathroom whistled a cheerful stream of leaking water. While the locks were being changed, a frantic search for an emergency plumber began. It was also time to figure out how to shut off the water specifically for the toilet. How was it possible to live there for years without knowing that? While towels soaked up the flood on the floor, the unconscious body stayed slumped on the couch, showing no signs of life. My mother arrived as planned to help with my daughter. In the end, I left her to supervise the locksmith and the plumber while I took the little one to daycare, just to give her a few hours of escape from the chaos. A while later, my mother called. The locks were done and the unconscious body had vanished. She hadn't even noticed him leave. I told her to bolt the door and let no one else in. The rest of the day was spent packing up his things. Divorced women in movies do this too, but somehow it always looks more graceful and sophisticated. I was stuck somewhere between an exhausted zombie and a vengeful tigress, a bizarre middle ground of being completely drained yet fiercely determined to finish the job. He had to be purged from my home, from my life. Everything went into giant trash bags, no sorting, no care, and was hauled out the door. Fishing rods followed, along with a collection of empty beer cans and a mini fridge that reeked of neglect. His blanket and pillow went next, right along with his pile from the laundry basket. By the next morning it was all gone, disappearing as silently and invisibly as the man himself. I honestly don't know what I was expecting or why I hadn't prepared for this scenario. Did I actually imagine a proper goodbye, him breaking into tears or holding our daughter tight one last time? It seems the experience with my own father taught me nothing. Men like this don't say goodbye. They don't seek closure. They don't reflect on the past. They just vanish, stealthily and in a flash, like a rat scurrying into the shadows when a light snaps on. They leave nothing behind but disgust and exhaustion. Now I can't stand movies that gloss over divorce in a couple of frames. They edit out the ugly storms and the mountain of trash bags, jumping straight from the talk to the quiet solitude of an empty bed. I've stopped believing it's ever that clean. But if that's how it actually goes for you, well, then I'm just damn jealous. My cup is empty and it's time to get back to reality. Thank you so much for listening to my tea time whispers.